All right, guys. So what we're going to look at now is the story of the New Deal. We're just going to kind of go through it quickly and understand that we have the Great Depression, and the response to the Great Depression is you have Franklin Delano Roosevelt, President of the United States, is saying, "I've got a new deal for you." Now, so the first presidential election during the Great Depression, American voters rejected Herbert Hoover and voted for Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Roosevelt's plan was to immediately provide, here we go, remember, all right, these are called the 3 R's: relief to those who were struggling the most, recovery to the economic systems damaged by the economic crisis, so like the stock market, the banks were who we're going to provide recovery to. Relief, you had to provide recovery to those who were losing their jobs and losing their houses. And of course, reform so that there would not be another Great Depression. So let's immediately take care of what's going on now, and then let's reform things to make sure it doesn't happen again. So his programs of relief, recovery, reform, relief, recovery, reform, relief, recovery, reform was known as his New Deal. Now, Roosevelt's first 100 days in office was a declaration of war on the Great Depression. Okay, his first 100 days in office was a declaration of the war on the Great Depression. We can see here that this is a political cartoon during the 1930s, and it's kind of saying, we've got a new deal for you. And what you see is this, if you ever play cards, and that's the analogy on it, is that you have 4 aces and a king. This is a great hand in cards. So it's saying this new deal is going to be great. We're going to protect gold. We're going to, instead of shutting banks down, we're going to establish a holiday for them to pretend and then reopen in 2 weeks. Let's issue a new issue on the budget. Let's tell them what our plans are in our inaugural address, and let's issue new laws, new legislation to reform the banks. Now, some relief measures introduced included what was known as the Federal Emergency Relief Administration that granted federal money to state and local governments for operating soup kitchens and meeting the basic needs of the homeless. So what we're having here is we're providing that relief to those that need it the most. Well, they need to eat, and if they're homeless, they need certain resources that they may not be able to have anymore. There were also a number of agencies intended to put people to work. This was made, if I don't have a job, I'm not making money, then I'm not going to be able to afford to buy the things that are necessary. One of these examples is known as the Tennessee Valley Authority, which hired thousands of workers in every and very rural Tennessee Valley. And what they did is just build dams, all right, power plants, and to work on flooding and erosion. All right. Now, the TVA actually is going to help bring electricity to Barnesville, Georgia. And there is a historical sign where Franklin Delano Roosevelt, right there at Summers Field, kind of came there and flipped the switch on to bring electricity to this area. Now, the type of dams that were being built were known as hydroelectric dams. And so if right here, I'm moving my arm, I'm creating energy. So the flow of water creates energy. And so as that occurs, the water comes through, and if you really want to get in depth, you have some technical terms here. But just understand that these dams weren't being built just to stop erosion and flooding. They were also built to create electricity. Now, these are the type of soup kitchens that you would have seen during the Great Depression. Thousands of individuals lined up for food because food was at a scarce during this time. Now, to help financial systems recover from the Great Depression, the FDIC, the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, was created to shore up public confidence. Okay. Now I know my grandma was born during the Great Depression, so she can remember her parents and the distrust they had in the banking system, because when banks closed, their money was not insured. They lost everything, so they did not want to put money into the banks. So what they said is, all right, we're going to insure, all right, your individual bank deposits for up to $5,000. And this is still around today. So I think it's up to $250,000 today. So if you have money in an account and that bank was to shut down, your money is protected by the federal government. Now, one major area of reform dealt with the stock market.